noise of the rushing world, a gentle voice, a story unfurled, wisdom from a distant shore, opening a brand new door.
Good evening. I hope the weight of the day has begun to lift from your shoulders. As the sun dips below the horizon and the hum of the world outside settles into a soft murmur, I find myself wondering what thoughts are occupying the quiet corners of your mind. Have you spent today racing against an invisible clock, pushing yourself to fill every moment, or perhaps worrying that you might be falling behind in a race that has no finish line? If you are carrying a heavy pack of expectations and fatigue, I have brought something truly precious for you. Tonight, a gentle invitation to set that burden down and simply breathe. Tonight, we step into the sanctuary of a book titled, May All Living Beings Be Happy, a collection of aphorisms by the late Zen master Bupjong, compiled by the poet Ryu Shiva on the 50th anniversary of the master's ordination. This volume is a distillation of a lifetime of Liszt. Wisdom, the very marrow of his teachings, selected with the care one might use to gather wildflowers. Though the master has returned to the elements, his words remain sometimes sharp as a blade to cut through our attachments. Other times, warm as the spring sun, to melt the frost around our hearts. When we speak of Master Byupjong, the word that inevitably arises is non-possession. But for the master, this was never about living in a state of deprivation or empty-handedness. It was about the radical freedom of not owning what is unnecessary. He taught us that when the things we own begin to own us, we lose our soul's liberty. He didn't just write about this. He lived it in the mountain shadows, showing us that happiness isn't a condition we meet in the future, but a right we possess in the present. As we begin, I invite you to shut out the noise of the world and listen. Let these sentences create small ripples in your inner stillness. Whether you close your eyes or watch the evening light fade, allow yourself to enter this space of shared wisdom. We are about to embark on a journey through 4 landscapes: the beauty of being alone, the power of a simple life, the harmony of nature, and the return to our original mind. Let us begin. The first journey, on being alone. In solitude, each person meets themselves. If one cannot be alone, they lose themselves. Living in a mountain hut, I feel this truth in my very bones. The solitude of the mountains clears the spirit. The more I am alone, the more transparent I become. Only when we turn the gaze that was fixed outward, back toward the interior, does the garden of the heart begin to bloom, and the moon rise in our inner sky. We often flee from the idea of being alone because we confuse loneliness with solitude. Loneliness is a hunger, a painful sense of lack or disconnection from others. But solitude? Solitude is a feast. It is a state of fullness where we purify ourselves and listen to the subtle frequencies of the soul. The Master encourages us to be thoroughly alone, not as a punishment, but as a homecoming. I sit alone in my hut and drink tea, he writes. At this moment, solitude is not a sentence. It is a blessing. Silence is not stagnant water. It is a flowing stream. The more we speak, the more hollow the heart becomes, and truth hides behind the veil of words. In the hours of silent solitude, I weigh the words I have uttered. Did I wound someone? Did I spill empty boasts? Standing before the mirror of solitude, my true face is revealed. The courage to face that unmasked self is the beginning of all spiritual practice. As I reflect on these words, I realize how much of our modern anxiety stems from our inability to sit quietly in a room. We use our devices to tether ourselves to 1,000 distractions, fearing the silence because of what it might tell us. But the Master reminds us that we possess things for our needs, yet those very things end up demanding our care. This applies to people, too. When we lean too heavily on others, we forget how to stand on our own feet. We must remember that we are born into this world alone, and we shall depart from it alone. True solitude is not a rejection of others. It is a profound affirmation of oneself. The Master continues. Think of how much energy we burn seeking validation from the world. Yet, if we do not validate ourselves, any praise from the outside is like pouring water into a jar with a hole in the bottom. Being alone is the time to embrace yourself without conditions. It is the time to whisper to your own soul, "You have worked hard. You are precious exactly as you are." When we walk a path in the woods, we must ask, "Where am I? What am I seeking?" This question acts as a brake when we are hurtling through life without a map. Those who know the joy of being alone become the masters of their own lives. They are not swept away by the crashing waves of society. They walk steadily, guided by an inner compass. Solitude is the return to the authentic self. When you are alone under the stars, or in the quiet of the dawn, you feel your connection to the entire universe. The peace found there is a treasure no market can sell you. And only when you have made peace with yourself can you truly, healthily love another. The second journey, the simple life. The secret to happiness does not lie in the quantity of one's possessions, but in how free one is from the unnecessary. One day, I found myself completely captivated by an orchid I had been gifted. I worried it would burn in the sun. I thought of nothing but that orchid, even while traveling. In that moment, I realized I did not own the orchid. The orchid owned me. I gave it away immediately and felt a tremendous sense of liberation. Possession does not grant us freedom. It binds us. We are conditioned to believe that more is better. More space, more money, more social standing. But as we fill our lives, our minds become cluttered and anxious. To be simple is not to be poor. It is to have the courage to strip away the non-essential, to focus on the essential. The fewer things you have, the wider the margins of your heart become. A room must be empty for the moonlight to enter and the wind to pass through. In a room crammed with objects, there is no place for the soul to rest. I keep only the barest essentials in my room, the Master says. A few books, a teacup, and a place for me to sit. We came into this world empty-handed, and we will leave it the same way. Do not attach too much meaning to the things we are merely borrowing for a short time. This life is a brief picnic. If the picnicker carries too much luggage, how can they enjoy the outing? Only with light clothing can you truly see the wildflowers and the clouds. Non-possession is not about having nothing. It is about guarding against unjust possession and clinging attachment. The Master advises us to be frugal with our words, simple in our thoughts, and concise in our actions. We are often imprisoned by ghosts regretting the past and fearing a future that hasn't happened. Only this moment, the act of lifting this teacup, is real. While the world chases the grand and the flashy, the Master finds beauty in the small and the humble. He sees the order of the universe in a single nameless flower or a fallen leaf. When we only chase the big things, we trample over the small joys that actually make life worth living. A simple life sharpens our senses. When we reduce our having, the joy of being fills the void. The scent of morning tea, the crimson of a sunset, the warmth of a neighbor's smile. These are the true riches. In my own observation, I see how our digital age has created a new kind of clutter. an accumulation of information and comparison that weighs us down. The Master's wisdom is an antidote to this. Discarding and emptying is never a loss. It is a preparation to be filled with new energy. I encourage you to try to let go of one thing every day. It could be a physical object, a grudge, or a rigid opinion. The moment you set it down, you will feel yourself becoming lighter, more buoyant. What can you set down tonight? The third journey, harmony with nature. When I enter the forest, I become a tree. When I sit by the stream, I become the flowing water. Humans are not the masters of nature. We are a part of it. In the mountains, I live with the trees and birds as my companions. They give me wordless teachings. To live in harmony with the natural rhythm of the universe is the highest wisdom. When spring arrives, the frozen earth thaws and tender sprouts emerge. In that miraculous vitality, one can hear the heartbeat of the cosmos. Trees do not cling to their leaves when winter approaches. They let them go without regret. Flowers do not try to bloom forever. They display their beauty and vanish without a trace. Nature never forces it, simply flows. Master Byopjong tells us that to live is to be happy, because joy is inherent in all life. Whether it is a cat dozing in the sun, a bamboo grove swaying in the wind, or a spring bubbling from a rock, there is a profound peace in their existence. Perhaps we feel unhappy because we have wandered too far from this source. Encased in asphalt and concrete, unable to tread on the bare earth, our souls begin to wither. Nature is silent, yet it speaks everything, the Master observes. The flower speaks through its fragrance, the tree through its shade, and the mountain through its silence. Think of the peace you feel when walking through a forest. The trees do not demand you be successful. They do not ask for your resume or your bank balance. You are welcomed simply because you exist. This is the healing power of the natural world. The phrase, "May all living beings be happy," is not just about human happiness. It is a vow of coexistence. We must not harm even a small insect, for the life of the universe dwells within it. The Master describes walking carefully to avoid stepping on a roadside flower, and putting out seeds for the birds in winter. To feel the pain of others and to cherish their lives is the practical application of enlightenment. Live like a tree, he suggests. Plant your roots deep and stretch your branches toward the sky, but do not block the sunlight of the tree next to you. What a profound metaphor for human society. We often compete to overshadow one another, yet the trees in a forest maintain a respectful distance while growing together. A single tree cannot make a forest. We must respect each other's individuality while maintaining harmony. To destroy nature is to cut our own roots. When nature is sick, humanity is sick. A simple life is a moral choice to save the planet using less, sharing more. The bird does not look back when it flies. The water leaves no trace as it flows. Nature does not cling. We, however, always want a reward or to leave our mark. But the sun shines on everyone without discrimination, and the rain soaks all things equally. Aim to resemble that selfless, warm heart of nature. Tonight, think of a single tree you know, and let its quiet strength steady your heart. The fourth journey, the original mind. The mind is like a vessel. Its value is determined by what it holds. But true study is not about filling the vessel. It is about cleaning and emptying it. When we pour out the prejudices, fixed ideas, hatred, and greed that fill our minds, our pure original nature, the Chongjong Sim, is revealed. The human mind is like a pond. When it is disturbed, nothing can be seen clearly. But when it settles, it reflects the clouds and the mountains, exactly as they are. We are constantly tossed by the waves of our many emotions, angry one moment, grieving the next. The Master teaches us not to suppress these feelings, but to watch them, as if watching a fire from across a river. Your emotions are not you. They are merely winds blowing through the space of your mind. When you breathe in, know that you are breathing. When you breathe out, feel the worries leaving your body. The Master finds the path of practice in the most ordinary acts. When washing dishes, just wash the dishes. When walking, just walk. To be fully awake in the present moment, that is the life of the Tao. He speaks of death not as an end, but as a new beginning. Like shedding an old garment. Change, aging, and illness are the laws of nature and need not be feared. What we should fear is a life lived without awareness, living mechanically, forgetting the wonder of being alive. That is the true death. True love is not trying to change the other person to suit your desires. It is acknowledging and watching over them as they are. How many wounds do we inflict in the name of love? We mistake possession for affection. But true love is not looking at each other. It is looking in the same direction, respecting each other's independence while growing together. Even suffering is seen as fertilizer for growth. Without pain, we cannot mature. Do not resent the trials that come your way. They may be the universe's gift to strengthen your inner power. Like the plum blossom that blooms in the bitter cold, endure your winter. When winter is deep, spring is not far behind. Enlightenment is not about performing miracles. It is the realization that the ordinary acts of eating, sleeping, and meeting people are themselves miracles. Water flows down, and fire burns upward. When all things are in their proper place, there is peace. Is your mind in its proper place right now? Or is it wandering in the past or the future? Bring it back to this moment. That is where the peace you seek is hidden. We have reached the end of our journey through the wisdom of Master Byupjong. In this short time, what landscapes have formed in your mind? I hope that in the spaces we have emptied, a cool breeze has passed through, and the tight knots of attachment you've been holding have loosened just a little. The final teaching the Master leaves us with is practice. He said that no matter how many beautiful words we read, if our lives do not change, it is all for naught. The true study begins the moment you close this book, or in our case, the moment this recording ends. Tonight, before you sleep, find one unnecessary thing in your room to let go of. Or tomorrow morning, offer a warm word to someone you have resented. These small shifts are the beginning of a transformed life. As I shared these words with you, I felt the clear and fragrant life of the Master. Though he is gone, his voice rings out like a clear bell, whispering, "Do not hurry. Do not possess too much. Enjoy this very moment." To say, "May all living beings be happy," is to start by being happy yourself, and that happiness is only completed through emptying and sharing. I hope our time together has been a small sanctuary for you. In a world that often feels chaotic, I hope these sentences act as a sturdy staff for your journey. Remember that even when life is difficult, you possess a clear and resilient nature within you. You are a being that shines simply by existing. Rest now. Let the wisdom we've shared settle into your deep sleep. And may you wake tomorrow with a lighter, clearer spirit. As the Master wished, may your life be clear and fragrant in every moment. What was the one sentence that resonated most deeply with you tonight? Hold it close to your heart as you drift off. I will be wishing for your peace. Thank you for listening. Be at peace.